This video was created to help you complete your senior scholarship application. It will be helpful to have this packet, the senior scholarship packet, in front of you as we go through the video. I'm going to be walking through the directions and the contents of this packet, which were created to help you do a nice job submitting your application form. Just a couple pointers as we get started. Similar to what the Common App accomplishes for your college applications, this senior scholarship application allows you to apply to over 30 different scholarships using one application form. The thing that's unique about each scholarship in this packet is that the scholarship will be presented to a Lake George graduating senior. So as far as your competition or the size of the applicant pool, really it's limited to those students in the class of 22 at Lake George High School. Another thing you'll want to note is that this application is going to be submitted digitally as a Google form. So this information packet really is a worksheet. It has a lot of useful information on it, but when you actually submit your scholarship application, you're going to be submitting it electronically. And the application is due on Monday, April 25th. That gives you about 2.5 weeks to work through the process and get your materials pulled together. Before we get into the nuts and bolts of this application, I want to remind you that there are additional scholarships available to you that aren't included in this packet. Scholarships that, again, might be very local in nature. On this slide, you'll see some of the scholarships that are available with their due dates. You see our local Rotary Club, our Knights of Columbus, the North Queensbury Fire Company Ladies Auxiliary, the Randall Madison Memorial Scholarship. All of these are organizations committed to providing scholarships to you, a Lake George senior. So don't miss out on those scholarships. You'll find them on the Guidance Office scholarship listing. Another scholarship that I love to mention is the Drive for Excellence Scholarship, which affords you the opportunity to win a new car as you graduate from high school, along with several $1,000 scholarships. You'll find information about this scholarship on the Counseling Center scholarship listing as well. So when it comes to the senior scholarship application, there's really 3 straightforward steps that you need to take to complete your application. The first step is to read through the scholarship descriptions. Each scholarship that is included in this packet has a description in the packet telling you who's sponsoring the scholarship, what the criteria are to be eligible for that scholarship, and what materials you need to submit in order to be considered for that scholarship. So as a first step, read each of the descriptions, and then I recommend you actually take a marker or a pen or pencil or highlighter and circle any of the scholarships in the packet that you know you want to apply for. You meet the criteria for them. This will make it easier to fill out the application when you go online. Another thing you want to do is highlight any of the additional materials that you need to assemble in order to apply for that scholarship. There is information that you'll provide on the application form itself, but as you'll see, different scholarships may ask for an additional essay, sometimes letters of reference, sometimes a history of your community service. So be on the lookout for what those additional materials are and highlight them on your copy of this scholarship packet. That'll, again, will help you make sure you get everything included as you're submitting the application. The next step to take will be to complete the application worksheet at the end of the packet, and we'll look at that a little bit later. The worksheet contains the same questions that the online form will ask, and so if you take the time to fill out the answers to those questions on your packet, when it comes to filling out the form online, you'll have all the information you need. It won't need to go hunting for it. So here's an example of one of the awards you'll find in the packet. The Lake George Central School District Athletic Booster Club. So the way they describe the award or the scholarship is that it will be awarded to a student that plays at least 2 sports per year, that the student must volunteer throughout their 4 years of high school, preferably for the Booster Club. Also, the student should have aspirations to pursue a career in phys ed, sports, OT, PT, and so on. So that gives you a good sense of what the Booster Club's criteria are for their award. If you find that you match those criteria, you can circle the name of that scholarship in your packet and then highlight those extra materials required. So the Booster Club wants to see 2 references, 2 letters of recommendation. So you're going to need to assemble those and upload those when you fill out your online form. So for each of the scholarships in the packet, this is what you're going to do. Go through, read the description, see if it pertains to you. If so, check it or make it somehow indicate that that's one you want to be considered for, and then note the additional materials that are going to be required. To try to make it easier to catch those additional materials, we have flagged any scholarship that requires additional materials with this symbol. So as you're going through the online form, you're going to see that quite a bit, and that'll be a reminder to you that there are some materials you'll need to attach in addition to the Google form itself. So another part of the packet that you have here is an actual scholarship application worksheet. So this is where you can record your answers in advance to each question you're going to find in the Google form, which is going to make filling out the online form much easier. Be sure to familiarize yourself with how to name and upload your supporting documents. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And then because there are some financial questions on the application form, make sure that you consult with a parent or guardian so that the information that you're providing is as accurate as it can be. So here's a glimpse at some of the application questions. The first part really is what I'd call objective information. Your name, parent or guardian information, a little bit of information about your family, and then some information about your vocational goals, college choice, and so forth. You can fill that out on your worksheet and have it ready to go for the Google form. Questions 7 and 8 get into the financial picture a little bit more detail. So what you're going to need to do here is for question 7, report the cost of attendance for the school you plan to attend. Most colleges, when they provide information on their cost, break it down into different categories. You'll see them listed here: tuition and fees, room and board, books and supplies. If you have a summary of the cost of attendance for the school you'll be attending, you can fill in these lines with the numbers that the college has provided you with. Some colleges structure their cost of attendance a little differently. You can make it fit the best way you can. If you don't have your school finalized at this point, I would recommend that you pick one school that is towards the top of your list that may well be the school that you chose, the school that you choose when all is said and done. And you can use the numbers from that college for your application here. It's important to remember with question number 8, it's not going to be an exact science. You might find that you end up pulling more money out of your savings account because you want to take out less in loans. You have some discretion to raise or lower the different categories based on your individual and family financial situation. The goal really is to be able to show how you plan to pay for the expenses that you've itemized in question 7. Line 8M is where you're going to show what expected need you demonstrate. So you're going to add up the amount you plan to pay out of savings from work during the summer or the academic year, the amount of loans you plan to take out, the scholarships and grants you received from your college or from other sources, and then the amount of your parent contribution and what they'll be able to contribute to those expenses. You add those up, subtract that from the total expenses in line 7E, and that's the figure you're going to put into line 8M, your expected need. So when you add your need to those other lines in item 8, that should total the same amount that you've listed in line 7E. So line 7E should match line 8N, and line 8M is going to be the amount of financial need that you show after you pull resources from all those different categories. This will take some consultation with parents most likely. And again, feel free to consult with me if that would be helpful. The last thing to talk about really are the attachments. So as we've discussed, some of the scholarship committees want you to attach additional documents. In fact, any of the scholarships that are under the umbrella of the Lake George Scholarship Association are going to ask you to attach a resume and an essay. So there is a spot on the Google form where you can attach these required or requested documents. In order to make your documents easy to access and identify, we've provided some information about how you should name your files. So, for example, on this chart here, you see if you're uploading your resume, you want to label the file resume, and then also name it by your last name and first initial, so that as committees are looking at these documents, they know what they're looking for and what they're looking at. So this is going to take a little bit of prep work on your part as you assemble your documents, make sure they're named in the fashion shown here. That way, when you are going to your Google form and actually uploading them, they're named the way that you want them to be named. So that's a fairly quick walkthrough of the process. Just to summarize, you are going to, when you get to that online form, you're going to go through the list of scholarships and check the yes box for each scholarship that you've circled or identified on your packet as a scholarship that you match with. You're going to go through and answer the questions in the scholarship application, taking the information that you've filled out in advance on your packet worksheet. You're going to go and attach those additional materials to your Google form that you've labeled according to the directions. And then it's very important that you go through a couple times to proofread your application. Check for things like punctuation and spelling and the ideas that you're communicating through the form, and make sure they're as you'd like them to appear. The final step is going to be completing the student and parent acknowledgement statement. So you need to check off a box saying that the information that you're providing is accurate. And then we ask that you have a parent or guardian check the parent-guardian acknowledgement statement saying that they have reviewed the information and agree that it's accurate. Once you've taken these steps, you're ready to click submit. And once you click submit, that application form is going to be submitted to the guidance office, and we will distribute it to the scholarship committees that will be reviewing applications for all the different scholarships that you check that yes box for. So submitting that one Google form is going to do the work of getting your scholarship application in front of all those various scholarship committees. So that's a quick run through. Again, I just want to remind you that other scholarships exist on that Counseling Center scholarship page. Don't neglect that page. There's some very wonderful scholarship opportunities waiting for you there as well. As always, as questions arise, please reach out and visit the counseling office so that you get the help that you need to submit your application by April 25th.